Are we our own person, or are we bits and pieces of what everyone else is? Kenneth Burke discusses this theory in serious depth in his work Identification and Conceptuality that is a part of his bigger work called A Rhetoric of Motives. Burke states that with identification and conceptuality, thus he's both joined and separate, at once a distinct substance and consubstantial with another. Kenneth Burke was born in Pennsylvania in 1897 and also died in the United States in 1993. He was an American literary theorist, had a major impact on philosophy and rhetorical theory in the 20th century. He's remembered best for the analysis of nature and knowledge. His work, A Rhetoric of Motives, is a very powerful work that people commonly recognize Kenneth Burke for. Identification is a major part in A Rhetoric of Motives. Burke says A is not identical with his colleague B, but insofar as their interests are joined. A is identified with B, or he may identify himself with B even when their interests are not joined, if he assumes that they are or is persuaded to believe so. Burke is claiming that we identify ourselves with people who share similar interests with, or we believe to share similar interests with. Humans by nature look for some kind of common ground with another individual to unite us, to get rid of the separateness. Identification comes from first seeing division, because without division, there's nothing to unite over. Conceptuality is another big part of rhetorical motives. In being identified with B, A is substantially one with a person other than himself. Yet at the same time, he remains unique, an individual locus of motives. Thus, he's both joined and separate, at once a distinct substance of a consubstantial with another. Implying that after we identify with one another, after we find our common grounds, then it's possible for conceptuality to occur, and that we can be substantial with each other. Even though we've become substantially one, we still remain unique, an individual locus of motives. We will always be separate in the aspect that with each, all have our own distinct bodies, our own thoughts. We all have different experiences that affect how we see things or feel about things. But nonetheless, we still hold the desire to be united, which is enough to make us, making us both joined and separate. Persuasion has a lot to do with rhetoric of motives. Rhetoric is the art of persuasion, or study of the means of persuasion available for any given situation. You persuade a man only insofar as you can talk his language, by speech, gesture, tone, order, image, attitude, and idea, identifying your ways with him. This is crucial when it comes to identification and conceptuality, because in order to find that common ground and unite as one, you must persuade the other person to listen to your views. A rhetorician may have to change an audience's opinion in one respect, but he can succeed only insofar as he yields to the audience's opinion in respects. In order to convince the others to change their opinions, or even to be open to yours, you must first respect their own opinion. Burke also discusses not only do we have to persuade the external audience, but the internal audience as well, meaning that the individual himself must act upon this. This is where we adapt to an idea and identify with it. Identification and conceptuality benefit society in many different ways. Kenneth Burke's identification and conceptuality benefit society in the aspect that we can learn how to identify with each other. Then conceptuality is possible to occur. Once we discover this, we can end all wars with mankind. If we try hard enough to respect each other's opinions and tell them ours, we will be able to establish a common ground and unite together, identify ourselves as ones instead of as enemies. This also benefits society because it gives us a better outlook on life. It teaches us that there's not only one right answer. It helps people understand that we are all owed an opinion, and not one is necessarily wrong. And with the right tools, we can all gain a similar understanding on the human race as a whole. In conclusion, with identification and conceptuality, we can accomplish many things we have not been able to before. Identification is finding a shared element between the speaker's point of view and the audience's, or finding the audience's point of view and the speaker's convincing them that they share a common element. This is a powerful tool that we can all use to turn foes to friends.
Okay. There's
Great job, Abby. Good job.
Thank
Really.
you. Thank you.